So the results generated from 76 dogs in kennel activity, 67 dogs in the same 67 dogs in walking, and 63 dogs in trotting. So 59% of them, of all dogs, were purebred, and Steppy was the most represented breed out of all. From the table, you can see that UA produced significantly higher step counts than TA in all activities. The coefficient of variation is highest in unstructured activity, and UA output is only significantly correlated to that of TA in unstructured activity. And in terms of body weight, the outputs between the devices are significantly correlated in all body weight groups, and the heavyweight dogs had the highest correlation among all dogs. Heavyweight dogs also had the lowest variability in the inter-device difference in all activities, but they are only statistically significant in kennel activity and trotting. So these are the blend element plots for each activity. The solid line across is the mean difference of UA and TA outputs. The dotted line are the upper and lower 95% limits of agreement. So what we've found with these plots is that the 95% limits of agreement are quite broad in all activities. And the highest agreement is associated with lower step counts in unstructured activity and higher step counts in structured activities. So far, our results show that the outputs of UA and TA are not directly comparable. So the two hypotheses of the study were confirmed as well. So the coefficient of variation structured activities are much lower than that of unstructured activity. So the outputs are definitely more comparable in structured activity. And for the second hypothesis, heavier dogs did have the lowest variation in the inter-device differences. So it does appear that body weight have an impact on the readings of the accelerometers. Alright, so in our study, as I've talked about before, UA consistently produced a higher step count than TA. This finding supports what Paul found in his study. Not you. But what's interesting about this though is that the UA we use, so that little guy over here, it actually is programmed to displace the number when it detects more than 5 steps consecutively. So this function in human conditions, it can eliminate background vibrations such as during a bumpy car ride, but then its impacts are not. No one has investigated its impacts in animal studies. So, one would think that that sort of function would lead to even lower step counts in detecting steps, but then the results in our study show that UA still have a higher step count than TA. So I guess either it has no effects whatsoever on detecting steps in our study, or the UA step counts might have been even higher in our study. And the second point of discussion will be the sensitivity of the devices. Because there's a variation in the strength of correlation between the two devices, so I guess it means that the sensitivity of the device, of one or both devices, do change according to the type of activity performed. One study found that with actival monitors, which is the TA in our study, its variability was negatively associated with acceleration. This is a quite interesting finding, but I guess our study can't really confirm that. What our study confirms is that body weight does have an effect on the outputs of accelerometers, but since heavier dogs tend to have or more likely to have a bigger body frame or body conformation, so we can't really rule out body conformation being confounding factor in our study. Having said that, there was one study which says that body conformation had no significant impact on the readings of TA in controlled activities. And currently there's no published guideline on the acceptable difference between accelerometers. So it makes the analysis of the Blenheim agreement plots rather subjective. We concluded that the differences between the accelerometers are quite broad and are too wide to be considered as comparable. So our study is a preliminary comparison of the performance of UA and TA in dogs. From our study, again, the outputs of UA and TA do not directly agree with each other. But our study is not without limitations. Because we used shelter dogs, we could not replicate the normal roaming environment of domestic dogs. And also, we didn't have a third objective measurement of physical activity. So, that could have been used to evaluate the validity or reliability of both devices we used in our study. And last but not least, this special 6 steps counting function or program in our UA, it might have an impact on the data reviews, but I guess we're not too sure at the moment. So I guess these limitations make us realize, further research is definitely needed to appropriately interpret this subjectively monitored physical activity. So UA has been validated in human research, but its impact has not, or its usefulness as a clinical tool hasn't really been looked at in animal research. And on the other hand, a conversion formula to align the outputs of different accelerometers can be useful, but that can only happen once, an acceptable guideline a guideline of the acceptable difference has been published. So I guess in summary, the outputs of UA cannot be readily interchanged with that of TA at the moment. But then, we're still in early stages of veterinary research in this area. So with further research and perhaps advanced technology, this can one day be practical. So here you go. That's the references.